Donald Trump has got Netanyahu at all in his ear, and also the Zionists that he's surrounded himself with in his administration. The dream I had was dark. I dream prophetically. I'm not going to give you all the dreams that I've had that have come true. I'm just not. Tulsi Gabbard. A lot of you guys don't like her, right? Some darker stuff that I think may occur. What repeats over the next 2 years might shock the world. Hi, honey. I'm doing a recording. I got one more sign, but I'm going to let you in. Are you downstairs? My family's coming in for my birthday. Yes, but just tell them I'm recording. No one can see you guys. Think about Saturn as the very old, decrepit man, or the kind of, grim reaper in a sign of youth, Aries, in a sign of vigor and life force energy, and all of that. Saturn is not that. Just don't believe what you see.
Lunatic astrology.
April 19th is not just another astrology date. It's a reset button that could change your life over the next 2 years. The Mars-Saturn conjunction in the sign of Aries last happened in 1998, and before that, 1968. And each time it brings amazing, but also powerful world change. What repeats over the next 2 years might shock the world, but in your own life, it simply means dramatic and powerful changes of direction, of actions and decisions that you're about to make. In today's video, we're going to break it down for not only possible topics that the world might encounter, but also your sign. Let's get started, shall we? Roughly every 28 to 30 years, Mars and Saturn will come together in the sky in a given sign. This is going to change every couple of years into a different zodiac sign. And in today's video, the great reset button that Saturn and Mars are going to create in our lives this April the 19th is in the sign of Aries. The good news is Mars is in his home kingdom and he's full of vim and vigor and he's got some essential strength. Bad news is Saturn is not in such great shape. He's what we call fallen. And this makes this an extremely complicated type of reset button. When I talk about reset button, I mean that these two planets coming together will initiate a cycle that will run approximately 2 years and will indicate an area of our life where we're going to experience significant change. And in that story of the reset button, which will happen on the 19th of April, 2026, and not complete until late April 2028. This is an important reset story. In today's video, I'm going to help you understand what you can do with this for your sign and cover a bit of possible world material. When we do the world material, I'm going to be very safely general, enough that I don't think I'm going to cause myself harm on my channel, get demonetized, deplatformed. For the extended members only section at the very end, you'll find that I'll cover a little bit more depth and a little more grit and a little bit more plain spokenness about what I'm worried about. Particularly Mars and Saturn is quite known for coming together and causing something that we really don't want. We have Mars, which is war, and Mars, which is aggression, and Mars, which is, things that cause, conflict. And also things that cause damage, including to one's life or the lives of many people at once. And so that's Mars's story, right? For example, when Mars was hooked up to a square to Saturn at the end of February, hitting the eclipse point from the Aquarius eclipse that happened in February at 28 Aquarius, that square really triggered the onset of the war in the Middle East right now. All right, so we can say Mars can be a trigger point, like a trigger or a flare or a catalyst for things to happen. Saturn tends to look at the world through the lens of difficulty and constriction, but there's a lot more depth to that I'm going to get to when I talk about the world, which I really want to cover the archetypes of Saturn in relationship to Mars. For example, there's a part of reality like in Arabic parts, like the lot of death or the lot of conflict, war and conscription that are connected to Mars and to Saturn when those lots or those parts are formulated in the ancient Arabic parts of astrology. And I shout out to Austin Kopak for getting my attention to that way to understand how difficult Mars and Saturn are. It's not Mars and Saturn, the lot of love and forever happy after happiness. No, it's not that at all. So in today's video, we'll talk briefly on the very first 10 minutes about some world events that may occur. And then we're going to move into the conversation about your sign. In essence, I'm going to give you some tips on how to handle this. I'm going to tell you the times. Get a pen, get a paper, write this down, or rather, let me show it to you, and we'll see if we can't get you a nice little, graphic to screenshot. Not that you necessarily need it, but just in case you want, let me show you when this has happened in the sign of Aries before. All right. So you can use this as a kind of guidepost for your own life. Go back and, pattern recognition and cycle repetition is indeed the nature of astrology. That's what we teach. That's what we learn from. It's literally how it's like a weatherman knows that when this happens, a cold front meets a warm front in a certain way at a certain time of year, it will equal snow, or a thunderstorm. So astrology is no different. We know that we see these patterns repeating, and we can make predictive value from patterns in the past, likely reoccurring in similar manners. So these are the dates before where we've had these combinations of Mars in his home kingdom of Aries, where he's very strong, and Saturn in his fall in Aries. Saturn is exalted across the way in Libra, which is the kingdom of Venus. Where he falls short of the glory of God is in Aries. Think about Saturn as the very old, decrepit man, or the kind of, grim reaper in a sign of youth, Aries, in a sign of vigor and life force energy, and all of that. Saturn is not that. Saturn is like at the end of his life cycle. He's the hermit in the tarot card. He's Obi-Wan Kenobi and or Yoda, whereas Luke Skywalker or Captain Kirk in the original Star Trek, Shatner Kirk and Star Trek series was the archetype of the Aries energy. All right. Mars in Aries. And so having old, wise, and kind of bummer out Saturn fallen and Mars coming together is complicated. And we'll try our best in your own reading to describe some potentials there. 1909, 1938, you can see these dates, 1940, 1968, 1998, and here we go again, 2026. And so in your life, I want you, when we go to the all signs portion, I want you to think what was I doing April of 98 at approximately 2 years, right? Because that is going to be similar to what is happening now. Although the degrees of the Aries placements are different, the energetic signature is similar. And I bet you some of you are thinking to yourself, well, yeah, but I can't remember back then. Well, just try 1998. A lot of you won't be remembering 1968 or any of the other time frames, but this is roughly an every 28 to 30 year cycle. The reason we have two close to back there is retrogradation for 1938-40. Normally, we don't have two that close together. So I'm going to continue telling you that this is general bell curve astrology. What does that mean? I just had a bunch of comments in my channel recently. One person is like, "This all just sounds the same. Every video for every sign." It actually doesn't. It actually doesn't sound the same, because if you were like Cancer rising, I'm rambling all about Jupiter in your first house and how that's a really good thing, compared to somebody who doesn't have that, right? Somebody who's a Pisces has got a debilitated Mercury in their sign right now. It's very different. So it's not all the same. It's different completely. You'll notice that if you're a Sag, I've been talking about the potential for a divorce for 8 months now. You'll see the same themes. Capricorn, I keep talking about you need to find your true home and a place to be. The themes repeat because the planetary bodies in our current sky are moving through these signs in the zodiac in certain patterns that make it useful for one sign and meaningless for the other. That said, this is astrology catered to one sign. So we can call it a bell curve astrology, right? A bell curve simply means that there's a bunch of stuff in the middle that's going to likely be true for most people. And then there are the outliers. Second of all, astrology is a time map. It's a map of time. It's not really about predicting what will happen to you. When I say you might win the lottery, go ahead and get a ticket, it's because the map of time has spots in your chart as a certain sign at certain times where you have a lot of luck. Because I suggest you could win the lottery doesn't mean you will win the lottery, all right? Because I see that potentially a parent may be ill or passing away doesn't mean a parent is going to. It's what the sky gives openings for in a kind of archetypal way in the map of time. So hopefully that makes sense. You understand what I'm trying to say. Before we go ahead and look at your sign, and we'll do a quick brief on the world astrology. We'll have an extra extended version for my members on YouTube where I can get a little more gritty about some darker stuff that I think may occur. I've already pretty well said it publicly now on my Substack. I'm recording this of all things on my birthday, April 4th, just because I have a bit of time to start the video. And I put out in Substack that I had a dream. I may as well share it with you guys now. I had a very important dream. I dream prophetically. I'm not going to give you all the dreams that I've had that have come true. I'm just not. But what I will say is that the dream I had was dark, and it has a signature of the kind of event that happened in 2011. I'm not going to say the name. There were 2 tall buildings involved. I can't say that here. That's a monetization flag. Please go to my Substack, Pluto Chronicles. It's free. It's free, where I write every week about world astrology in an unplugged way. And so my Substack sign up is in the description box below. If you're an astrologer type and you've got through your basic training and you want to come learn some divine timing tools, my intermediate to advanced beginner course is beginning in May. It runs for 5 weeks. You can sign up for all 5 classes with me, with Q&As on the weekly to help you integrate the material. Or you can buy the modules individually. All the information you need to sign up for that is in the description box below. All right, so I'm going to start going through the signs Aries, of course, through Pisces. The deeper dive of world stuff that scares me to speak about will be at the very end of this video. And let's get rolling and make me pull up Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising to begin with, which makes me remember that you guys need to know how to read your sun, moon, and rising sign, because I always come into this problem where you're confused. So let me repeat it again. Your sun sign, right, when you were born is like the soul that takes form in a body. So it's your spirit, your eternal nature. And when we're listening for sun signs in astrology, they're often more accurate after the age of 45 or so. And we can also consider that the energy of the sun is connected to the purpose of our lives and our career path, because that's why we choose to incarnate. We choose to incarnate to have a career or a purpose in life. So you're going to find that listening for that feature is probably the best. Second of all, like, I'm listening to my sun because I want to know about my purpose and my career. Your rising sun is the simulation avatar character that you came in to play. It's like the actor is the sun, and the role the actor plays in the movie of life is your simulation movie character. It is your rising sign. You often look like a rising sign. Physically, you have temperamental qualities, earth, air, water, fire. It's the character in the movie. And then finally, your moon sign is how you think and feel about your life. It's your emotions and your thoughts. Often it's also the external reflection of your soul, right? The light of the sun. It often represents material realm stuff, karma, patterns in our lives, emotionally and psychologically and spiritually. But on the other hand, your moon is also connected to matters of mom and nest and safety and home. And quite often, like I always say, an eclipse to your moon will 9 out of 10 times move your home or make a major change in your life within your home. And approximately every 18 or so years to 20 years, probably all of us will get at some point an eclipse to our moon. All righty, so we're going to get started. I have some really funky minor asteroids in here from a video that I was doing for YouTube on another video. And as I look at them, I realize I should get rid of them because they're just going to kerfuddle you. So let me get rid of them before I actually share the chart and you're looking at me messing around in the back end. That's much better. We'll start with Aries, of course. And we're talking about Mars conjunct Saturn on the 19th of the month. And I will actually move us to that date just so you guys can see the date. I'm sorry, now I'm babbling for you, but it's important for me to get this set up before I bring you over. All right, we're pretty close. And it is my birthday, and I got a beautiful day on April 4th, Saturday. I did nothing but what I wanted to do, and I really relaxed. But now that I'm waiting for my family to arrive within the next hour to half hour, I thought I'd whip up a video while I had my hair and makeup on. But I want you to know that that I'm recording this video, this first part of the video anyway, on April 4th, and the second part of the video with the world stuff in it a little later, probably 4 or 5 days later. So what you're hearing me say in the beginning is without a little knowledge of what will be happening in the world as things go forward. So I'm looking at April 19th on my computer, and I'm bringing you guys over. This is an important 2-year reset button. It's not one day in your life. It's more than a day in your life. It's the next 2 years of your life. And this is called a synodic cycle, and it's accurate. It's accurate for getting the lay of the next couple of years. So this is happening on my birthday, close enough. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. Right. Okay. All right, see how far I get before someone rings the doorbell for my birthday party at my house. Uh-oh, I got to remember to put the lasagna in the oven in half an hour. Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. It is a sky where you're noticing that not only do Mars and Saturn come together, but so does Mercury. It will be a triple conjunction. We're just focusing today on Saturn and Mars. Okay, just that. Ideally, when this kind of thing is happening, you're pretty revved up. because not to mention, this is the 19th. You'll feel it up to like 4 or 5 days before and 3 or 4 days after, really acutely. You have a lot of drive and passion, ardor, ambition, intensity. You're somebody who is like with Mars in your sign every 2 years for approximately 6 weeks. And this has been true April 9th through to the May 18th timeframe. You'll have him mojoing you up. You really get more aligned because this is your ruler, right? He belongs to you. He belongs to Scorpio. So now you find decisions that you make are clean and clear and powerful. The actions you take are highly motivated, and decisions and actions are about which true direction you want to head in. And under all of this, all of a sudden, Mars will happen to hit a wall, arriving in your sign April 9th, and now he's coming into difficulty around the 19th. Now, it's not a wall, it's a metaphorical wall. Saturn is constriction. Saturn is like the crossing guard when Mars is trying to sprint through the intersection. Saturn is a parking brake and Mars is the gas pedal. They're not very compatible under this story. There's something that you need to attend to. And on the 19th or around that time, 5 days before, a few days after, you might notice, oh, shoot, I thought I knew where I was going. I had my mojo, got my direction, had my passion, had my decisions clear. And then there's something else happening. Now, this is going to carry through for 2 years, not the way it does around the time of the conjunction, but archetypally, meaning that you could be finding yourself when this conjunction happens around 7 degrees and 51 minutes of Aries, realizing that the pacing of your life has to slow down. Tortoise and the hare. Who is going to win the race, the tortoise or the hare? Well, Saturn is the tortoise and Mars is the fast moving rabbit. You can get it done if you measure the time frame and you parse out the measurements equally or something. It's like, this is like literally get a structure and get a schedule and get a pacing. This is not a sprint. Saturn is telling you if Mars wants to accomplish something in the next 2 years, damn it, it's a marathon. So it's all about the long game, the long tail. So everything about this is not the way Mars operates. He can be reckless, daring, bold, aggressive, and impatient. Saturn is cautious and measured. How are you going to move forward in some kind of cocktail shaker between caution and enthusiasm, between sprinting and walking slowly? What's the intermediate thing that you can create here? If you're an Aries sun, moon, and rising, this is how you're going to focus. Aries sun, it's about how you unroll that career in a steady way while maintaining motivation, willpower, drive, and ambition. And Pluto, bless his soul, I forgot to put him in there. Pluto is transpersonal willpower. Mars is our individual will. There's a lot of support, backup from Pluto on the 11th house of great career gains. A lot of this is going to be, especially for the Aries sun, making your career work in measured ways over time. It's not a sprint. It's something slower than that. And Pluto is also giving you access to large influence and power in this world, whether it's financial or whether it's over other people, whether it's motivating others to follow your lead, but you're not a Pied Piper. You've got some wisdom, some sagacity. You literally know where you're taking people. You're not leading them over a blind cliff, right? So you've got this measured wisdom, Saturn, sage-like knowledge or understanding that you're applying towards this motivation and drive. Because Mars is also the ruler of your 8th house, it can be very much focused on your occult mysteries, your tarot, your numerology and astrology, or also increasing the amount of money that you can create in this lifetime that isn't through the hard work, but through money, making money. That could include learning how to be an investor in your monies or learning how to make money in ways that it comes in a chunk instead of you working your ass off all of the time. And that could include also the possibility of a clue here that you may receive an inheritance in the next 2 years from the passing of an elder person in the family system. With the sun here, 29 anoretic, it would be a male figure. One other thing I would tell you about this story, because Saturn, even though he's in rough shape, is the ruler of what Pluto's up to. There is some kind of synergy here where Saturn wants to bring structure to your gains of your career and to your long range goals and dreams. You know, Aries, you tend not, I'm one, I got sun, moon, and rise, a sun, moon, and Mercury. We don't always think ahead. We kind of go with the moment. We are the classic I am sign. And in the I am, we can be very present. You know, that's why a lot of athletic energy comes through Aries, because you got to be very present to be the athlete of success, to be at the top of your game. But this is asking with Pluto, in the house of our long-range plans and dreams, ruled by structured Saturn, to take a lot of time to plot your course over the next 2 years in a structured and thoughtful way, right? Don't just go by, what is that, by the seat of your pants. Do not fly by the seat of your pants. Let this show you how to structure, organize, plot, plan what you want to do over the next 2 years, especially professionally. Saturn is the ruler of your 10th house of career and the gains of that career. So it's a different pace for you. It's a different way of being. If you want to go back to April 1st of 1998, and you want to add a couple of years after that until the spring of 2000, you went through a similar measured pace. Now, for my Aries sun and moon, right? I remember that time very well. I was at the peak of my career at the time. I was a psychic reader, and I was getting filmed, by the way, in a BBC documentary and on remote viewing. And I was getting a lot of press and whatever, Baltimore Sun and a bunch of stuff, and an NBC affiliate in Baltimore. I was getting all this press and success and mini stardom, let's call it that, in that 1998 to 2000 window, right? But I also took the time in that time frame to make some major strategic decisions around what I truly desired in my long-range plans and dreams and goals, the 11th house. And that was to have a child. So my daughter was born into that. I had a giant belly and was pregnant being filmed on the BBC documentary and the other thing, because I was doing my career success while at the same time I had strategically decided I needed to have another child because I was getting past the age where I could have a second child. So there's something about the logic and the reason and the strategy meets the ambition, the drive, and the excitement for career success over the next 2 years. And we'll be talking about this along the way over the next year or two, because Saturn will create squares to Mars. And there's going to be 3 pivot points that are coming along the way that tell us when the next turning point of the story is, just like chapter 1 or like act 1, 2, and 3. So you're going to get more information about this. So hang in there, follow my channel, and like and subscribe so you know when the major turning points of this 2-year story are going to happen. Well, I can't decide if I'm hot or I'm cold, but I think I'm hot. So we're going to open the window because I'm recording in a window. Oh, that's better. There's a breeze. I don't have a ring light on or anything. It's my birthday. I'm not setting up my recording studio. We're going to talk next about Taurus. I hope everybody comes later than sooner because I want to finish you guys up. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. Okay, so the last time this cosmic reset of Mars and Saturn happened was April 1st of 1998. And then you would add a couple of years. Spring, late spring, early summer, whatever. It would likely be April, May, it would happen in 2 years later. Can't talk, I can't think. So one of the things I'd say is go back and remember your time then, if you were alive like I was. If you weren't, don't worry about it. All right, so you are having a subtle experience. It's not going to knock your socks off, okay? For most of you, it won't. Other than maybe with Mars back here, you might want to travel the world or go off on adventures to ashrams in the next 2 years and discover far off distant shores and lands. And in that regard, that would be fine. And you might even want to go consult old wise sages and stuff about spiritual guidance, go on the Camino, go visit the guru in India. You're looking like you're doing deep spiritual questing and seeking, especially the rising sign, but sun and moon to some degree as well. And, this 12th house of the liberation and spiritual enlightenment is one thing, but it's got other meanings as well. This can also be a house that is suggesting that you could find yourself in a condition here of wanting to really hardcore quit an addiction, because our self-undoing belongs to this part of the chart. And when I say hardcore quit an addiction, I mean like a hard stop and a structure to support ending a pattern or habit of something that you ingest. It's not good for you. I wouldn't encourage you to make it happen, because it will happen. This is not a prescription. I got a wind tunnel. This is not a prescription. This is what will happen. If you have struggled with an addiction, don't go listening to me and then go off and try a hard stop, especially if you need medical supervision. This is me telling you that this is the trend of the sky for the next 2 years. It looks sobering. Saturn, sober. Neptune, escapist and addictive, and substances. Mars, stop. Just stop. And in this way, I think that you will be able to just stop, because Saturn is ruling the house of God. You might find yourself in AA or some kind of give it to God plan, or maybe even just finding yourself doing education or finding spiritual community that can support you moving towards a more clear way of eating. Okay. With Mercury ruling your, or substances that go nose and mouth that shouldn't be there for your health or your wellness. And because Mercury rules a part of the chart that's your mouth, or what you put in your mouth, your second house, again, we see an ability to curtail styles of eating or addictive substance use that literally will finalize within 2 years and likely no longer be a part of your life. If you did any of this in 1998, April to the spring of 2000, because you've been through this before, then yes, you know what I mean. But if it's new for you and you haven't done this thing before, Taurus, well, then it's going to be a thing. Well, what else could you do with this? Saturn is the ruler of your 10th house of career, given he is in a condition of fall. And that's because he owns your house of work, your 6th house, and he's tucked away in the house of self-undoing. It could be a story that you're going to learn that you're your own worst enemy in the next 2 years in terms of your career success, ambition, power, glory, riches that you're capable of getting between now and 2020. 44 with Pluto up here, and you're going to start to see patterns where you somehow, some way, you really undo yourself. But on the other hand, because he does own the career house and he's got backup, both of them have backup from Pluto, especially Mars. There's like a divine power of will that wants to purpose you towards something greater in your career than you've ever considered before. And this is a first in a lifetime. This will not have been true anytime before now. And so with divine willpower backing you up, you've got the wind at your sails, so to speak, right? And it was funny because Pluto's near a star that has to do with the Eagle constellation. So you've got the wind at your star sails, and you're pushing towards a new level of being a channel or a vessel or transpersonally willpower unit for your career path. It's going to move into something very potent that way, inspired by Dharma, the path of your life that has meaning, significance, and purpose, the path of your life that is about that 9th house. It is aligning with talents and gifts to be on purpose in your life, and you will likely accomplish that. Mars is the ruler of your marriage house, and it could indicate a change of location for you and a marriage partner to a distant shore or far off land. Mars is the moving guy, and the sun there indicates home. So a change of home, a change of location connected to a significant long-term love partnership within the next 2 years. Strong likelihood you won't live where you live now 2 years from this conjunction. Don't forget, we have some support structures from Jupiter witnessing it. We're not going to talk about him because he's not in a tight aspectual witnessing, but we do have some blessing coming from Jupiter as well. All right. How about Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign? You're going to notice that you have a new energy building up in your 11th house. I mean, it's April 9th through to about May 18th. You got a lot of passion, drive, mojo for your career gains itself. That can be like aiming for success in terms of celebrity, recognition, influence, or money. And as you are going through that, you're also finding yourself enjoying the ride. Mercury is up there, the Lord of your sign. There's a lot of flow that bakes into the next 2 years. This is different than 1998, add 2 years, because the sky is different, but the theme of the 11th house reset is here. So perhaps if you were alive then in 1998 as a Gemini, add 2 years, you also might have made some changes in your career path and direction. You might also have had some disappointments in your career that asked you to reset new long-term goals, dreams, and plans for your life. And you may have also, and still can, and some friendships that no longer serve you. And I hate that phrase. I can't believe I said no longer serve you, because it's always a cliche, but it's true. Sometimes you have friendship circles that aren't right for you, especially if you're aiming for sober friends, because nothing like Saturn, Neptune to say sobriety, quit the drugs, quit the booze. And so you might be cleaning out your friendship closet and getting rid of the hard party crew, because you're moving towards a more measured, spiritual, serious, sage-like, and maybe sober crowd in your friendship networks and circles and friends and all of that. Sometimes just Mars and Saturn here could mean an elder male figure will show up in your life over the next 2 years to be of great assistance to you, like an ally, a patron, a benefactor, or a helper. And you can count on men to have your back, not your main squeeze partner. I just conceptually, men or masculine energy is here to have your back in your professional gains over the next 2 years. because we also can say that Mars is the ruler of your sixth house. He's going to be strategically changing your work routines and your work habits. That's going to happen because you're rearranging your long-range goals, plans, and dreams into a new order of some kind that allows for you to then take a different approach to your work. And I'm talking about your work, your job, what you do on the daily. You know, how do you do your sixth house, right? Your job, your work, your office. I'm going to move just so I have an office instead of working in my living room. I'm moving in June. I have a progressed Gemini sun. So on that count right now, I can resonate. The other thing to notice is that Saturn is the ruler of your ninth house and the ruler of your eighth house. There's an attempt the next 2 years to level up your chunky money, to make money in it more, money makes money, investments, stock market investing, poly market gaming, gambling, money from royalty income or Google AdSense, money that's derivative, passive income. That kind of money wants to show up for you. It really does over the next 2 years in a way that you're going to find is completely different than ways you've tried to accomplish that in the past. Mars does rule things to do with commerce. It is with Mercury. That makes it very commerce oriented. So commerce and new structures for commerce in your career path, in your career gains through the chunky money house. When I look at the Saturn rulership of your ninth house, it's going to be a Dharma alignment. Pluto's backing up Mars for transpersonal willpower. It's possible, though, although you're fueled to be on purpose, and Pluto says, do you want to be a university professor, go back to school? You want to publish and write books? Do you want to be a lawyer? I mean, he's in the ninth house, right? Do you want to be a guru? All that Pluto power is flowing to Mars, who's passionate here, and busting his ass in your 11th. But look for the 19th for those the troubled waters and the bridge that comes after them. There could be a sort of hit the wall frustration or a bit of a disappointment around the 19th, 20th, maybe 5 days before, maybe up to 3 or 4 days after. Could also just be a falling out with a friend. The importance isn't what happens. It's like almost like the signal of what the themes are that will prevail in the next 2 years. Follow the clues in the 5 days before the 19th and a couple of days after. What are the themes that are going through your life regarding everything I've just talked about? Purpose and gains in your career and friendship groups, because whatever that is going to be a sort of hallmark energy of the next 2 years. Alrighty. It's not a one and done. It takes a while. You welcome it because Mercury, your Lord, is there and it sextiles you. So you're down for this. To you, it's not bone shattering, earth rattling. It's like, oh yeah, I can go with that. That sounds right. Let's do that. Even disappointment gets turned into gold. Alrighty, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. I think that you're going to notice your career is on fire with that rare stellium, and Mars has got tons of mojo since April 9th through to May 18th. Boy, you might be working hard, but you might be excited, maybe passionate, maybe driven. And just on a temporary note, watch for overwork, right? Because Saturn would be the hard work energy, discipline, perseverance, marathon. And Mars is like going to hit that Saturnian containment field around the 20th. So a few days before and a couple of days after, are you frustrated? Are you burning out? Are you having a challenge in your professional endeavors? If you're retired, what are you doing in the world that people witness you doing? And in what way does it feel like you might have hit a wall? Maybe it's your worst golf score in your entire life for the golfing retired crowd, or your worst bowling score. I don't know, whatever you guys do. It does say to me that because Mars is, angular, right? I mean, he's at the top of your sky and he's the exaltation lord of your 7th house. He's quite possibly going to make some major changes in your life in the next 2 years around significant long-term love relationship, because Saturn is your 8th house lord, 7th house lord, and Mars is the exaltation lord of your marriage house. So I could say something like, if you're in a long-term love partnership, there are going to be some major changes in that relationship in the next 2 years. Pluto is powering up Mars from the house of chunky money, opening up the potential for you to come into some inheritance money or some spousal support separation money or money from sources that you don't earn directly over the next couple of years, or your partner and your in-laws coming into money and you are benefiting maybe from that as well. Yet Mars up here is really pushing hard for career ambition and galvanizing you to some level of success. If you're capable of going there, he'll take you there, but it's about pacing. Saturn, slow and easy, wins the race. And Saturn rules your house of home, exalts your house of home. So you got to find the work home balance in this chart. You really, really do. Saturn exalting your fourth house could also mean a change of home in the next 2 years connected to professional endeavors. Mars is the ruler of the house of children. Mars is the ruler of the house of romance. Mars is the ruler of the house of entrepreneurial endeavors, creativity, and inspiration. Your fifth house ruler is hitting Saturn. You might have some difficulties with your children in the next 2 years, or your children are going through a difficult time. And again, if you're going to move your home, it may be connected to one of your children. The bigger story, like 1998, April, add 2 years, is about a change of pace and excitement and direction in your career. The rest is the add-on. But think about the long plan, not the short one. Saturn is doing its best to give a form and structure to the new changes that you want to make. Because Saturn is the ruler of your 8th house of chunky money and Pluto is riches, it is possible that through a spouse or maybe a family member, inheritances or something, you could come into money. I did sort of mention that, but I'm reiterating that as well. With Mercury there may be an involvement in any of these stories I've just told you with your siblings. Therefore, while I mentioned changes of home to do with children, there could also be changes of home due to siblings, moving closer to siblings, sibling moving closer to you. Those kinds of stories are quite often possible under this kind of triple conjunction sky, where you've had some kind of delusion, illusion, or confusion about your career. The fog is clearing, and the next 2 years you're on your path. You kind of have it down to a, like, what would you call it? Like, you're like you taking aim with your bow and arrow. We're not going to use a gun, and you know exactly where the bullet is of the arrow is supposed to land. Okay, exactly where it's supposed to land. By the time you get to 2 years from now, you're going to take measure of, did I hit the mark in my ambition for my career? Was I able to sustain a measured pace and a home life balance? Because if you can do that, you're going to be very, very happy with these next 2 years. They're going to make you richer. All right. What about Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign? This is going to be for you a big time of alignment. If you've been feeling off purpose, off track, if you kind of wonder, does God have a plan for my life? Did I actually throw away the instruction manual? This is good news. This is going to feel good. This is where you, in this up here part of the sky, get your groove on for a meaningful, significant, and purposeful life, align with your dharma, align with your talents and gifts in this life. Technically, you could also outpicture any of those in fields such as law, academics, publishing, book publishing, podcasting, or words international, sometimes humanitarian organizations, and spiritual philosophy as well. Well, whatever this is, it's more important to know it flows to you. Your sun is up there. The sun is your ruler, exalted, flowing to you. If you are a Leo, you are liking this. If you are a Leo, you are on board. And you are going to be able to do something like make a pivot towards like a compass needle of true north. If you can't find your true north and you're lost in the dark woods of life, and you feel a meaninglessness to your life, a lack of direction and purpose to your life, whether it's professional purpose or just meaning and purpose, this is going to turn around. Some of you might have been alive in 1998, April, add 2 years to 2000, and you might have found you were able to pivot then too. Although the sky is not entirely the same. Pluto is transpersonal willpower, jiving up some flow, wind at your back from the 7th house, indicating that you're being really galvanized, maybe by some people you come into contact with over the next 2 years. It can be a very rich, powerful, or influential individual who's really helping support your movement towards purpose. You always want to write a book, get in the publish industry, travel internationally, move to another country, especially moving. Some Leos will move to another country because Mars is the ruler of your 4th house in the house of international places. And Pluto could say move to another country because of a powerful new relationship and long-term love story emerging in the next 2 years. I would also note that because Saturn is the ruler of your work house, like the job, the workaday routines, the office space. Well, possibly there's some disappointment coming up around the 18th, 19th about your work pace, your work routines, feeling meaningful, purposeful energies regarding your job or work. That's not going to stick around. Take note, like a keynote or a hallmark energy around the 19th, 5 days before, 2 days after, of some of the themes you're feeling then. You're going to work those themes out over 2 years, not over 1 week. And you could find yourself with this energy, right? Wanting to move your office as well as your home. So it can be either or, right? Sometimes it could be a change of home because of a change of work, office, job under this kind of a sky. Mars is really going to galvanize you here. And with the sun, your ruler here, when he first connects to that conjunction, 9 out of 10 of you will come out of this next 2 years feeling that God descended from the heavens and gave you a personal instruction manual for your life. You're going to be like, thank you, God, sun in his joy, exalted, the Lord of your sign, giving you the instruction manual for your life. Mercury's involved, but we'll be talking more about him. You could be making some nice changes in your friendship circles. There could be a major connection to a sibling, one older than you, that gets you passionately engaged in the proper direction. There's some other stories to do with making more money as a result of the sky. Thank you, Mercury. So being more commercially successful. Those are other areas of secondary, but still important stories that will bleed through the next 2 years. With Mercury ruling both the house of an ally, benefactor, career gains, and elder sibling, plus the earnings, those people who favor you in high places or a sibling one older, and your money flow and earnings are all entwined for some of you. It doesn't have to be a sibling. It could be like a friend who's like like an older sister or brother who's looking out for you. And then you begin to generate more money over the next 2 years as a result. Well, let's see how long I get going here. It's my birthday, April 4th, and I'm trying my best to get this done before I go on my mountain trip for 3 days, at least this part of it. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. You're looking at this stellium of power in your 8th house of chunky money. It's more than chunky money. It's more than earned income, shared resources, inheritances, and spousal separations, and in-law money. It is all of those things, but it's just not your job money, but it's also the occult mystery. You know what I mean? Like tarot, numerology, psychic ability, paranormal, extrasensory, supernatural stuff. And it's interesting because my Virgo rising daughter just bought a book, and she showed it to me about which pagan witchcraft rituals and meditations or something. She's got a couple planets in her 8th house, and she's a natural psychic. And I laughed when I saw that because it happened after Mars. It happened not after Mars. It happened as Mercury. Was Mercury there? I don't know, but it's her 8th house. It's the foreshadow of her 8th house story. I think she should go on and do online psychic readings or something and get out of her corporate day job that she hates. I might be having to tutor her to do that. This energy for all of you, sorry, I digressed into my child, is like deep spiritual soul work and liberation from the matrix, because the sun is the ruler of your 12th house. And that's your addiction, self-undoing, your illusion, your karmic patterns, your ancestral wounds, your family of origin mass that effed you up because your parents were effed up too. Like all of the sludge, that clogs the carburetor or the drain in your sink or something is being excavated, or in this case, flushed out with a fire energy, a fire blowtorch to the sludge. And so if you're into spiritual work, if you're into like wanting to meditate or see a therapist who's more spiritually oriented, or investigate your past lives and move away from the ordinary into the non-ordinary, a lot of you Virgos will find that direction very useful. It's extremely powerful too. Should you be entitled to an inheritance of any kind from an elder father figure, or spouse that you consider a father figure, that you may come into some financial success in the next 2 years from a bequeathment of some kind, more financial success. I should not have a lot of fortune there. Please ignore it. Okay, just ignore it. I'm not going to take it out now. It's making me crazy, but it happens to be in there by mistake. It's not relevant to this story today. You're going to find that this is kind of a very mystical transit, but I want you to notice, because you had it 1998, April, add 2 years, right? But why it's different is, of course, everything. Pluto is transpersonal willpower in the house of karmic debts, real debts, but also the work you're here to do. You're trying to power up beyond your own measure, beyond your mortal coil, to do some work that has deeper meaning for the world, to be purpose for something greater. And as Pluto moves through that work house of the 6th Artha house, he's applying pressure and wind to the back of Mars to get you on the right path. Mercury with Mars says, yes, it is about your career path. It is about your work path. Saturn says, I rule that 6th house of work. Saturn could give you something a critical clue around 5 days before the 19th and a couple of days after the 19th of April. Take notes, because those themes are going to be kind of the template for the next 2 years. And your 5th house is a house of sexuality, romantic love, children, art, inspiration, and entrepreneurial stories. Because we have a Mercury involvement, it could really galvanize some of you to go in. Mercury is the Lord of your sign, to go into a more entrepreneurial path, to move yourself away from being employed and doing your own thing in the next 2 years. This is also Mercury saying, with Mars and Saturn, you might consider some major changes in your life connected to your children, if you have children, and making decisions about your life based on the needs or configuring the needs of your children into your own decision-making power. And there's a lot to be said in this chart about how Mars in Aries could operate as the ruler of your 3rd house, because he could have you change your home to a new neighborhood or a new city in the next 2 years, because he is the ruler of the house, of the neighborhood, and the local environment in which you live. Will that happen? Maybe. It could be a change of home because you're looking for a different environment. You want to be near water or on a mountain or quiet, or, a different city with some things that you don't have. And some of those changes of home can hook back to romantic love partners or children or siblings and a change of home. I will give you this. If some of you are going through any kind of discontent in your long-term committed love relationship to a marriage-like partner, this is going to be about the money and resources you share with that partner. Mars is cutting, severing, and dividing it. Saturn is giving you hard ass boundaries on how much you and your partner can get away with in terms of, maybe ripping the other person off. And the good news is Jupiter is sextiling you, supporting you to succeed in a divorce settlement, if that is what this might be about. And for very few of you, it could be, because Mercury activates the house of weddings and divorces, it could be that process of figuring out how to divide assets in the next 2 years and how to do it fairly. I do like Venus baking into the 9th house of courts, indicating you're probably are vibrationally lucky in that regard, should you choose to end a marriage or your partner in the next 2 years in terms of dividing assets. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. So it looks to me like the first thing you've got going, I better make sure I have my ringer on. Sorry, but someone could buzz me to come into my house. Okay, guys. How are you going to make this work? Because this is your marriage house. Are you single? Anytime Mars moves through the marriage house, he can separate somebody from their marriage, maybe create space between you and another, like geographical separation. And on a temporary note, perhaps that's true. Perhaps, April the 9th to May 18th, you or your partner will be traveling quite a bit and be away from each other. Okay, Libras, especially Libra rising, less so Libra sun, and Libra moon, of course, too. But you could also look at this Mars transit, though, as creating a masculine presence in the house of significant other. And with Pluto in the house of romantic love, you may find yourself galvanizing, I like that word lately, attracting to you or turning your life into a new relationship in the next 2 years for single Libra, with someone with a lot of masculine qualities and Saturnian qualities. Saturn means older than you usually, but younger too, 6 or 7 years, especially younger, given this is a sign of youth. Recognize an age difference is most likely true for meeting someone new if you're single and getting in a long-term love story in the next 2 years. Maybe in 1998, add 2 years, you got into a long-term love relationship, especially the Libra rising. For the Libra sun, maybe business partnerships. I do not know what to say, but soulmate energy usually is attended to by Neptune. Yet Mercury is also here. So it could be about meeting somebody who thinks like you, who communicates in a similar way to you, who is also sober or sober-minded from addictions. Saturn, Neptune is like a sobriety energy. And you could also be feeling, because this is an energy that's so jammed up with that everything is here, like all at once. This could be a part of your long-range hopes and dreams, the kind of relationship, sun rules your 11th, that you've always wanted to be in, that you've always pictured yourself with this type of person. It could even be an older person who's quite athletic. I mean, Mars, Saturn. In the life of a significant spouse, if you have one, they may be going through some major changes in their life over the next 2 years. For example, joining a sobriety group or becoming sober or quitting an addiction. They may also be making major life decisions about what their long-range goals and plans are, and even changing their career path. So your partner could be going through all of this if you're already in a relationship and you're witnessing them go through it. So it may not even be so much about you. And maybe if you go 1998, April to 2000, April or so, you could have experienced a similar witnessing of a partner in business or love, make major life transformations and changes in their own world. Now, if we're going back to you, Saturn does rule your 4th house of home, property, land, and real estate, as well as your 5th house of children, romance, and entrepreneurship. Certainly, this can indicate changes in the life of your children and also connected to your home life as well. Mars is the exaltation lord, and Saturn is the ruler of your 4th house. It's conceivable that you're going to move your home within the next 2 years, connected to committed business and love partnerships. And because Mercury's involved, some of you might move internationally rather than domestically to a distant shore and far off land, either a far away city or another side of the country. And you live in LA, you got to move to Manhattan. You know what I mean? Like a far away move is possible, but it will be connected to the condition of a long-term committed love or a business relationship opportunity, business partnership opportunity. Alrighty. And with Mercury also being in the mix, of course, he is the ruler of your 12th house. It's not so much foreign shores. That's the 9th house. It's like just a distant shore or far off place. So I can see for a lot of you, a good percentage of you, a move is going to happen here. If you're not entrepreneurial yet, this could be the beginning of the conception of your entrepreneurial gusto. And within 2 years, you might have created your own entrepreneurial business with international reach and digital income and borderless revenue. And that would be a story, because Mars also rules the way you make money and the sources of income. So I can see you also possessing a home as well as moving your home, meaning buying a home. But I also see you I can definitely see a lot of you totally changing the way you make money to more entrepreneurial, international revenue, borderless income types of ways of making money rather than stay employed by somebody else. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, the sky is definitely activated for you, a huge amount of energy right there in your 5th house. The 5th house is the house, 6th house is the house of work. It's also your health. It's also your pets. It's also rental property. It's also indebtedness. Mars is considered to be in his joy here, which is positive. So Mars is well equipped to handle the situation and transform your work life tremendously. And in fact, when Mars first ingresses into this situation here, let's go back a day. We have the anaretic sun. Therefore, this is a very powerful, exalted sun ruling your career house. And a lot of Scorpios, 2 years from this conversation, will have a massive change of career direction. Now, yes, April of 98, add 2 years, we had this happen, but not quite the same way. Look for frustration around 3 or 4 or 5 days before the 19th and a couple of days after. Maybe you might burn out, feel like you hit a wall, have a health challenge, and it's going to help you reassess your career, reassess your long-range plans and goals and dreams, because Mercury says, what do you really want for the long game? Rules your 11th house. And Sun says, what is your purpose and what do you want it to look like? And so you're renegotiating the work, the purpose, the direction, the plans for your life. And you're going to see that most likely you could quit your job. Someone could quit the job for you. Someone in the office could quit and it levels you to a new position, because Mars, Saturn, quit energy, right? Stop, hit a wall, work. Around the 19th. Health challenges, be careful, inflammation, rashes, heat, cutting your body, fire, stay away from hot things. These are injuries you could have closer to the 19th. Go about 5 days before and 2 days after. Do not be careless with hot things, with weapons, with sharp objects. Be very, very careful, because this has got the potential for a health challenge or an injury. Because Mars is here, he rules your body. So I'm giving you advice to be careful. Do nothing reckless. You do not want an injury. Saturn rules the house of where you would drive your car. Be very careful in this time frame around driving and operating a vehicle, and be very defensive when you're on the road. Mars exalts your 3rd house, Saturn owns it. That's kind of like the local neighborhood as well. So not really injuring yourself necessarily in your home, which you could because of the Pluto story, but also in the local environment, especially if you're traveling by a vehicle, or maybe engage. Yeah, that's what I got for you. Be careful. Don't sign up for the war and be a soldier. It's not a good sky to do that. Mars is a soldier in the house of soldiers. Saturn is the general who's a bad guy. Just avoid that as well. Now, over the next 2 years, maybe some of you will enlist in an army. I hope you don't, or a navy or something like that. But that has an enlistment energy as well. Neptune is conscription. So unfortunately, especially if you live in the United States, you could be conscripted into war. Yeah. But that's going to teach you a lesson. You're going to learn something from that. Okay. You're not going to die from that. Trust me. And, probably not, some of you, April of 98 to 2 years, you wouldn't have looked at it like soldiering conscription necessarily. We didn't have Neptune there, but I will give you that some of you might find yourself in that condition or position. My son, born in the United States, needs to renounce his citizenship because he's Canadian too, because last thing I want him to do is have Trump try to pull him over from Canada into a US-led, Israel-led war. Give me a break. Pluto. It's transpersonal willpower anchored in the ancestral line. You are like drawing down from a deep hidden reservoir of wealth and power from your family line. And that's pushing you to move towards a work and livelihood direction that is right for you, that is passionate, that is directed, that is on target. It's going to take time. It's a marathon, not a sprint, according to Saturn. Be patient with this. The chironic wound that you've had about the work you do in the world that's might have been bothering you ever since 2019 will become an undone thing in the next 2 years. And you'll feel more deeply, truly excited about your livelihood and work. And potentially you'll make a lot more money as well. And only thing I want to say, if you have any debts you need to pay or debts are owed to you, they can come back to you in the next 2 years. There is a signature for an inheritance from a father figure. And so that could also be how to eliminate debt in your life, or for you to be there's money owed to you from that parent and it's coming your way. It belongs to you. You deserve it, or something along those lines. Mars is a lord of your sign. He's doing what he can to support you in moving really, really forward in the next 2 years. Again, do not injure yourself. Okay. Come back in the comments and tell me you didn't injure yourself between the 17th to the 21st. Be careful. Sagittarius, fire sign. This is a big fire trine to you. You welcome this, you embrace this, you hold your hands up and say, hallelujah. This is wonderful. I like the feeling of this. You're going with it with hope, faith, optimism, adventure, and joy. You're a lot of excitement for you here, Sagittarius. And because it's a romance house, yes, it is. You could attract to yourself a romantic partner in the next couple of years, or even sooner, that is younger or older than you by 6 to 7 years, minimum 7 years usually, and also maybe athletic, powerful, or strong, or competitive, or feisty Mars, and a lot of sexual synergy. But with Neptune, a soulmate, right? If you're with somebody already, okay, that's fine. This is not necessarily that story, okay? But it could rejuvenate your sex life because Mars is a passion, Saturn is a structure, and the ruling a planet of your marriage house is as Mercury. It's be taking a course on sexual communication with your partner, or tantra, or scheduling the sex routine between the two of you to get the thing lifted off again. In the next 2 years, you're going to try to find more passion in the relationship you have to your significant other, if you're staying in it. And if you find a new partner, that passion will be embedded there already, and you'll be exercising your sexual passion in structured ways. And that's kind of funny, right? But it's kind of like, okay, how can we find a routine around this thing called intimacy? And your children belong to the 5th house. Now, this is the kind of thing where you could have one of your children doing this whole story, right? They're going to get all excited about something. The sun will be, I'll move it back a day. When it happens, believe me, when this is exactish, the sun is anoretic. There's something going on that could literally say, are you ready to lift off into some kind of exciting, new, powerful, supercharged connection to one of your children? Are your children at an international distance from you, or will they be? Or will you be at an international distance from one of your children in the next 2 years, if you have them, right? Pluto is giving transpersonal willpower, like wind is at the back of the story, right? Wind is coming into the story, powering through the story. I'm wondering if this is going to be like, you feel like your ideas and your communication style is superpowered and is allowing you to be artistic, creative, inspired. If you're an actor, performer, writer, musician, I don't care what, you've got this new lease on life, but you have to take it slow. It's going to have to go over time. You have to be patient, not reckless and restless. in order to accomplish what you want. You've got the passion, the ardor, but you need to also have that slower moving patience, because you could actually create a lot of social influence and success internationally and success in the online world for the artistic and creative or entrepreneurial Sagittariuses over the next couple of years. Saturn is the ruler of that third house of the entrepreneur, of the social media landscape, writing, communicating, marketing, selling, teaching. A lot of you will travel a lot more for pleasure, leisure, and fun over the next 2 years, but you may also travel for spirituality, pilgrimages, and seeking God and transforming your reality through that seeking. Mercury would like to translate some of this for you singletons, of course, into a new long-term love story. And Mercury can also translate this to some new career directions. But those new career directions have to be completely fortified by one single thing: passion, enthusiasm, and inspiration. If you don't have that, then whatever this creative cauldron is in the fifth house where the muse is shouting at high speed at you, it doesn't matter. The only way this becomes successful in the career is when you have the ignition button on and you feel that passion and that enthusiasm. You can't wait to do the thing you're doing in your work and career path. And once you find that in the next couple of years, there's no stopping you, because you can really hit a high watermark in terms of influence and success and monetary gain from your career as well. But again, the key word is excitement and passion. Maybe even international success, especially for the artistic and creatives. Saturn is a ruler of your money house. And while he's sitting here, jacked up here for something new and new directions, right? And Jupiter's witnessing the money house, it could include money and career success through the mechanism of creative, artistic, muse-inspired, and entrepreneurial directions over the next 2 years. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. We've got a Mars, and Mars is moving into a collision with Saturn on the 19th. As this happens at 7 degrees and 51 minutes, like it did in 1998 at 21 degrees, it's going to reset you for 2 whole years in your domicile where you live. You may have moved your home April of 98 into late spring, early summer of 2000. Go back and try to remember if you're old enough. Same thing happened in March of 68, add 2 years. Because this is angular, it's life-changing. You're one of the signs, you are a cardinal sign that gets a huge amount of momentum here, as did the Libras and the Cancer, for changing where you live. There's no way in God's green earth that in 2 years from now, you live where you live or you live with whom you currently live with. Okay? There's no way. This is an expat signature when Mars is here, and some of you will move countries, okay? You may also, because Mars is the ruler of your 11th house, be making a move because of a friendship, an elder sibling, one above you, or because of new career directions and gains of career that fortify or ask you to or propel you to locate somewhere else. Pluto, money, wealth, power in the house of money and earnings and resources, transpersonal willpower too, but flowing to Mars, at Mars's back. By changing your home, you power up financially. You power up financially and then you change your home. Either one is true. Because Saturn is the lord or the ruler of your sign, you know he's trying to work his best for you. Watch out though, on the 19th, 3 or 4 days before and a couple days after, for you're either hitting a wall or you're having a sobering moment. And it has to do with someone in your home, someone you live with in your home, or something to do with decisions you're trying to make about where to live and what to do. Sometimes Saturn is just like this, the architect and the laborer or the structure of the home, and Mars is, pounding away with the hammer or sawing. Be careful for injuries, therefore, by doing manual labor jobs in and around the home. You are definitely at risk of an injury at this time. Just be careful. That aside, I think it's more like getting a beat on an idea. Your mind planet, Mercury, is here. It could be an email or a communication that's occurring around the 19th that then gives you an understanding of your next location of residence, or why the people who you live with are changing the guard. People are moving out or something. And Mars also rules your money, right? So there's money to move if you need it coming your way in the next 2 years. Mars is with Mercury, the ruler of your house of rental property. And it's quite conceivable that you will be able to move because you wish to rent a new home somewhere rather than purchase a home. But with the sun anoretic, as this is happening, there's also the ability to generate money from banks and mortgages and loans and leveraged monies in order to, or investment monies, in order, should you decide to, you may also consider the purchase of a home. Also, in the next 2 years, if you're wanting to build your own home, this is the signature for building your own home in the next 2 years. If you want to work from home in a career direction that might bring you great satisfaction and passion, this will allow for you to do that. And so if you don't ever or never have work from home in a path that you really enjoy and you are going to really, do it over a sort of measured pace over time, then you can do that. You can work from home, and that will really fortify an activation of more excitement about your path in your career, and a change in the means by which you make money. So therefore, a change in your career path itself as well. And Mercury is the Lord of the House of International, which is why some of you may move your house to another country. That's a possibility. Some of you may want to communicate something to the world, and you might want to publish it in the next 2 years, but you're going to do the work that, getting it all ready and structured in the home. If you want to write about enlightenment or spirituality or fantasy or Game of Thrones or something, you can do that kind of writing with Neptune here as well, okay? But also about in the spiritual world as well, putting it in form and structure. It's called chapters. And then because Mercury rules your publishing house, you may consider then, after you put this thing together, publishing it. Watch for injuries, okay? Saturn is the Lord of your body, and there's a Mars penetration happening around the 19th. You're one of the signs. I've already warned Scorpio, be careful. All right, I'm one of you, Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign, and here we go. I've got to get this done. I think I'm miraculously doing it on my birthday. Oh, happy birthday to me. And the light is bright. It's sort of like this. You may be able to say, I surrender. You may be able to put your hands up and say, I surrender. Why? Because Pluto's in your sign. The moment you think you've got a steering wheel, you're wrong. Jesus, take the wheel. Carrie Underwood, go listen. Because Pluto is this transpersonal force. It's not about you. And it's bigger than you. And, evolutionary astrology might call it like an evolutionary force, but it's also titanic evolutionary forces of transpersonal power moving through your little mortal coil, especially for Aquarius rising like me. Sun moving through your purpose and career path, and moon moving through your feelings, emotions, and home life. And as this thing occurs here, Mars and Saturn in your third house, Pluto is transpersonally powering up this story. It didn't happen the same way in April of 1998 plus 2 years. It was different then. Pluto wasn't involved, but it can transpersonally willpower you up for writing, communicating, teaching, media, social media, marketing, and selling. Why? It's third house stuff. So I was an Aquarius rising without Pluto powering me up. And in 1998, 1999, I was all over the place in the media world. I already told you, BBC documentary, remote viewing, NBC Philly show. I was on it with a guest panel of famous people. And I'm just little old me. And, and then I got written about. I had a splash of popular public appeal in my third house, writing, communicating, teaching, social media, and divining. The third house is a house of divination, like oracles, scryers, crystal ball gazers. And that's what was my job back then. So you're going to really find that this story brings you success in that arena over the next 2 years. But, and there is a but, you need to know with Mercury here, unlike last time, this is going to get you back into your creative muse-inspired direction. Mercury rules your fifth house. If you're not feeling the muse, if you're not feeling like the artist on a roll, if you're not feeling like the creative impulse, it probably isn't working. So you need to get that spark of the muse really lifting off for you. And it also could indicate, with Mercury getting bundled in here, by finding this spark of the muse, you're going to be much more wealthy. You will acquire chunky money, ad revenue, book royalty income, advances for your book, shared resources with the publisher. You could even get money from stock investing, but your money somehow gets better in those types of money, courtesy of this sky, over the next 2 years. I can tell you, 1998, 1999, doing my little psychic readings business and getting all that publicity, of course I made more money. So something is happening here. This is a writing house. Mars is drive and ambition. Saturn is patience, time, and structure. Saturn is fallen. You'll be impatient and reckless. You'll have to get a handle on measured pace and carving out the time, the container, and the structure to write. Mercury is a writer. Mars is the passion. Saturn is the container for writing. You've had a chironic wound in the house of writing ever since 2019, and this is the healing of that partly. And with the sun anoretic, you got a lot of energy that could propel you to want to put new things into the market, the audience and the client space that you've never done before. They're going to be original and pioneering new developments. Saturn is your ruler. He's doing his best by you, even in detriment. And he's giving you the gains of his journey for 3 years, March of 23 until February of 26. The gains of your second house, where he helped you save money, structure money, work hard for your money. She works hard for her money. That was our song, right? Now it's no longer true. Or if you didn't work and you just structured your money differently, that he would have been trying to do that, like I incorporated. So that's behind you. Now he's giving you the gains of all the hard work he did between 2023 and February of 26, March of 23. You could look at this guy because of the fact that Mars is a scorpionic ruler of your 10th house, right? He owns that real estate. Your career wants to focus on being successful because it's a third house career. So you can teach classes, you can do webinars, you can do social media, you can write, you can market or sell stuff, you can be very visible in the media sphere, you can work on your ideas more, you can change your communication style. Whatever you're doing here, it translates to your career success in the 10th house. Saturn rules your house of digital income, borderless revenue, money from foreign companies, foreign places, and foreign people. That's your 12th house. So keep that in mind in terms of where money comes from for you. You might also, because this is a travel house, the third house is a travel house, and because Saturn rules your house of distant shores and lands, there's likely going to be some significant travel unfolding for you. And that will be true over the next 2 years. You'll do a lot more travel. And some of that travel will be for ashrams or spiritual retreats or time out or time alone or carving away travel time to do projects that you really care about, you know, that you want to be creative, inspired. And now you go, I'm going off to a writing retreat and I'll be back for a month. That will be the kind of way you operate in the next 2 years, rather than trying to plug it into your daily routine. You're likely to carve out extra alone time and spaces alone, sometimes even by traveling, to do that, right? That's a sky for you here. It just truly is. Possibly with this kind of a sky, you know, siblings going to have a problem. First of all, I want you to look at the time frame I'm talking about. This is an epicenter story on the 19th of April, but go 4 days before, maybe 5 days before, and a couple of days after. First of all, you hit a wall. You're writing, communicating, marketing, selling, teaching, and you hit a wall. You could be frustrated. You could be overwhelmed. Watch for the clues. You've got transpersonal power here. Look for the message in any overwhelm around that time. But because it could be a delay in a trip, a cancellation of a trip, but it also, and disappointment in that cancellation of a trip. Maybe you're going to take it. Maybe someone was going to visit you. Look for the 19th of April for that clue. But this is the house of siblings. Okay, this is a sibling house. There may be a challenge in the life of a sibling in the next 2 years. And there may be an acute or actual sudden challenge in the life of a sibling, much more close to the 19th. So watch what happens around that time. If your sibling is, you know, having a challenge, emotional, physical, or mental, I don't know what, it wouldn't surprise me. And you'll have to get in touch with that sibling. The sibling could be from a distant shore and far off land under this kind of a sky. It could be a sibling, 1 younger, 2 younger, or 3 younger. Hi, honey. I'm doing a recording. I got one more sign, but I'm going to let you in. Are you downstairs? Okay, well, buzz me and I'll let you in. I hope the door is open. Bye. Okay, I can't stop recording. I think I'm done with that and we're moving to Pisces. That's just my daughter coming in. All right, guess what? I pretty well covered it. I am so sorry, guys. Sorry about that. I'm going to turn the ringer off. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and do Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. I don't want to stop the recording. I don't want to pause my flow. All righty. There's no way I'm going to stop. I got to keep going. That's like the momentum is here. We're doing Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. I think I have to move us back a day or something to keep this guy looking right. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. So the thing I want to point out here is that you're definitely looking at money. It's all about the money. It's all about the money, and it's the money, money, money. What kind of money is here? The money you earn, resources you possess, food, shelter, water, cars, movable possessions, and financial wellness. There's a major change in the direction of your financial wellness coming through your sky over the next 2 years. Mars says ambition and passion, and he says self-starter. If you want to be entrepreneurial, this is the way to go. Jupiter reinforces that. The other thing it says, Pisces, there's going to be a cutting, ending, and severing of dietary habits and styles that no longer serve you, so to speak. And Pluto says it could be addictive. Transpersonal willpower is coming through to change your food style dramatically. Your facial appearance, your teeth, and things to do with all of that are under change. And Mars's surgery, injectables, Botox, lasers, dermabrasion, take your pick. Facial peels, things that burn off the skin. Some of you will be doing some of that for medical reasons in the next 2 years, especially dental work. Saturn rules your teeth, but all of that work that you're doing is going to be for your face, throat, and all of that. Very, very good for you. And you can find, you guys are blurred in the background. Don't worry. You guys can find that this power is also transpersonal willpower in the 12th house, sourced in your deepest spiritual part of your being that's pushing you towards a new financial direction. Because you are ruled by Jupiter in the 5th house at this time, this could easily indicate entrepreneurial directions for you, creative, artistic, entrepreneurial directions. 1998, April, add 2 years, you had a similar thing, but it wasn't quite the same, okay? Because we didn't have all the other planets here. You'll notice that because Saturn is the ruler of your 11th house of great gains, long-range goals and dreams, and the way in which you receive blessings from your career itself, the 11th house, great gains in the career. Saturn is going to it's a little under the weather here. He's going to ask you to have patience. He's going to ask you to work hard for your money. He's going to ask you to take a long strategic goal of a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan about your career gains and your money gains in general. You need to sort of have a long-term marathon plot line, because otherwise you'll feel frustrated. And if you looked around the 19th, 5 days before and a few days after, you'll notice that at that time, certain things might occur that give you a clue to some of the frustration you might feel. Parking, brake, gas, money, earnings, resources, or teeth, or face, or dietary habits and styles. Mercury allows for you to write, speak, or communicate. And this is also commercial success with Mercury Mars, in the way you make money, selling something, marketing something, ideally from your home, because Mercury is a ruler of the 4th house of where you live. Mercury also rules your audience marketplace. So by doing something in and from the home, whatever you might want to do, right? Communicate, market, sell, teach, I don't care. That's going to translate as a very nice financial way of operating as you reach out to your 7th house of clients, customers, and all of that. You could also take this energy, because Saturn is the ruler of your 12th house, which is a deeply spiritual place. And you could find yourself moving towards an ashram environment. It sounds crazy, but Mars rules your 9th house of like pilgrimages and off to the temple to consult the oracle, or off to the guru in India. Some of you might be doing that for sure. And I think that's another guest coming in. So what I'm going to do, Hallie, can you greet them at the elevator and tell them I'm recording, please? Yes, but just tell them I'm recording. No one can see you guys. All right. Sorry, guys. There's no way. And don't even edit this out for my editors. Leave it. This is real life on my birthday recording for you guys. Okay. The last thing I want to tell you about, I'm sorry, I hope I didn't want to overwhelm you with how fast I'm talking. This chironic wound about money and earnings since 2019 is leaving the house for good. You're done. But one of the clues I have for you, because of the sun's placement, you must make a living. I don't care what you want to think. It's like Saturn's fallen from, I live on government subsidies. I make money from, my inheritances. I rely on my spousal support checks. No. Pisces, you must make money. This is what the sky is saying. You must earn through livelihood or entrepreneurial directions the gains of the money over the next 2 years. That is your ticket to success. If you think you can get rich quick or just live off of someone else's resources or the last little 401k piddle puddle you have left, that's not how it's going to work. It just isn't. Now, yes, your spousal person, if you're married, could help support you financially a little bit under the sky, but that will create tension and disappointment in the relationship because of the Mercury placement here with Mars. So you being on your A game, putting together a plan and a long-range goal and strategy for making money is your ticket to success. It requires you to work for it and work hard over the next 2 years, but the gains will be worth it. They'll be exalted gains, and you'll have such a successful ride professionally, especially entrepreneurial, working from home. But if you get a job, that's okay too. All of those are good for you. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you do not miss a thing. This is a 2-year reset button, and it is a critical juncture in our lives. Only every 28 years, you'll get maybe 2 to 3 in a lifetime in this sign. So enjoy the ride. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Okay, my family's coming in for my birthday, and I got to get you guys done. Ciao, ciao. Astrology is a map. but it's not a map of place, it's a map of time. What I love about teaching astrology and having people use this time map is that it helps them navigate their life. You wouldn't get out of your house and go ahead and start traveling without a literal map or a GPS unit, especially if you don't know the terrain. Well, astrology is the map, it is the terrain of time. And in our course, the Divine Timing Masterclass, we're going to be learning about 5 very powerful precision tools in astrology to time your best life. But here is the thing. This is a course that takes ancient timing tools and Time Lord tools, and yes, helps you navigate reality with greater ease and flow and even luck because you know how to work with it. But it is not the only part that astrology offers you. It's not only a prediction map of time. Once you start going down the astrology rabbit hole, you, like me, begin to wonder about fate and free will, like who's in charge here? Because you're going to see the arc of destiny, and you're going to notice if you use these timing tools, not only how to look forward, but how to look backwards. And one of the most surprising parts of this is that when we turn around and look backwards using astrology, we see pattern recognition and cycle repetition. And that is useful. Number one, it gives a sense of destiny and meaning to our lives where we understand no choices we made were right or wrong. They weren't mistakes. The choices and actions we took were a part of a greater plan. The second thing I love about pattern recognition and cycle repetition, because it's pretty reliable, you can use it to time your best life because you can say, okay, I've done this one before. I've been through this set of eclipses every 18 and a half years. I know how they operate in my chart. And well, it's never the exact same story in exactly the same way. The archetypes underneath the story are the same. Venus, Pluto archetypes, the love of power and the power of love, right? So like it's one energy playing out in different ways in our lives. And, you know, I mean, we can get like a jealousy and a betrayal story with Pluto, but we can also get the depth of love, true love, transformative love, and regenerative love. So how these stories play out depends on how you receive them and how you choose to interact with them. So in my Divine Timing Masterclass, I've chosen 5 tools that I think I can teach intermediate to advanced beginner students. And I have taught this class before in 2022 and 2021, but not all of these tools. I taught 4 of these tools, I believe. So in our class, if you want to join me in the Divine Timing Masterclass for 5 consecutive weekends in the month of May on Saturdays, I'd love to have you there. There's a little checklist on my website that's going to ask you whether or not you think you're ready for this class, because you don't want to take this class if you've never before learned the meaning of the planets, the meanings of the houses, how to recognize the astrology glyphs. If you don't know the rudimentary language of astrology, this course will not be for you. This is for those advanced beginners and intermediate students. And by the way, if you want to learn the basics, come to my Sky Reader course. Every September we begin. And this year's course will be at least 7 weeks rather than the traditional 6, to allow for a slower learning curve for some of you who find the pace a little fast. But I am teaching you a new language. All right, when you start off as a beginner, and no one learns Italian or Greek overnight. My name is Lori Lothian, by the way, and I am Lunatic Astrology, and we are learning together. I'm going to show you the website that I put up that shows you the basic layout of the land of this course that's coming up. It's going to be modular. There are 5 weekends, there are 5 courses, there are weekly Q&As that are attached to each module, which I go into a coaching mode or in a help mode to help you if you're confused on the tool or to guide you further. So you're getting the class with me, which will go at least most times 90 minutes minimum to 2 hours sometimes. And then you're going to get the actual follow-up for that module in a midweek Q&A with a replay for all of it. And you get to keep the course forever. It's evergreen. Once you take it with me, it's yours. You don't, it's like, it's saved for you on my teaching platform, and you can go back and learn it anytime. So I want to just say the 5 tools are modular because some of you may already know these tools and you're like, oh, I have to sign up for a 5-week course, but I already know 2 of the 5 tools really well, and I don't really think I need to learn it. I get that. So I decided to make it modular, but with an incentive for you to level it up and take that course, the whole package, because there's consistency of community. I have a Facebook group for you guys to meet in and chat. You can start your own WhatsApp groups if you want to really connect with each other. And there's also consistency of the content building on each other. But yes, you can do it in a standalone mode. So I'm just going to show you the website just to show you, I just It's not the final version. The enrollment cart won't open to the public until later on, I think about April the 10th. And if you're on the early bird discount, that's a different story. That was a sign up option. Let's show you the actual picture of this website that I mocked up for, getting the basics down. So I'm on my Lunatic Astrology website. Divine Timing Masterclass, enrollment doors open, April, and the date is coming. And a 5-week deep dive into ancient predictive timing tools. So you're going to get a weekly live Q&A call with me that you can come to, and you're going to get a private Facebook group. And I may put a Discord group up there as well. I'm not good at running them, but I have a fellow colleague who will maybe do that for me. And all the content is available for replay. And we start May the 2nd. And so here's what I want to say. Remember, the checklist I'm going to be giving you. I thought I wrote it in here, the FAQ, but it is like, if you don't know how to recognize a planetary glyph yet, you don't know the meanings of the 12 houses, you don't know rulerships, Venus rules, 2 signs, Libra and Taurus, and she's exalted in the sign of Pisces, then you're probably not ready for this class at all. And here are the actual modules. So, planetary decades, and it's about your unique timing. It's a very cool tool. And I learned this years ago from Austin Kopek, and I use it in my own life just as a guidepost, but it's unique to your own natal chart and in the order of the planets in your chart in zodiacal order. So it's a really simple, but fun, but accurate timing tool for your life. The next one is Sfidaria, which is a very powerful time map. It's a little bit like Sfidaria, the Dasha system in India, where you have a Mahadasha and an Antardasha, meaning that Vedic astrology tool gives you certain years and windows of time, certain ages, and when there's one planetary power ruler over you. Like I just finished a long run through my moon Mahadasha, and now I'm in my Mars Mahadasha in the Vedic system. This is Sfidaria. It's a similar idea. It's an ancient Hellenistic timing tool. It's extremely enlightening, and it depends on whether you're born in the day and the night. And then we have solar arc times. I call it God's clock. This is my favorite tool. I've been using it for years, and I can't wait to teach that to you because I've got some insider hacks from a lot of experience over 7 years and thousands of clients about the best way to use God's clock. And you also have zodiacal releasing, karmic turning points using a lot of eros, a lot of love, and a lot of fortune. And this is a very powerful Hellenistic tool, and it definitely works. I've taught a class on it already, but I'm putting my guest teacher expert, Kaylee Michelle, in here. She taught this as an extra advanced module in my last Sky Reader, and she was really loved, and she's really good at giving you worksheets to do this and really learn it. And so I am so happy to have her sharing her wisdom for the 3rd week's class, my guest teacher, Kaylee. And then distributions through the bounds. These are your life's chapters. They're extremely, very useful. I remember Kamala Harris was out of the running for the Democratic Party. She dropped out of the race to be nominated at the convention, and everyone was tossing her out the door. And I looked at her zodiacal releasing back in the first election with Joe Biden back then, not the second election, the Joe Biden one where she became vice president. And I said, oh my God, no, she's going to be okay. And no one understood why, because I'm like, she's going to go to power here. How could she go to power when she got knocked out of the race for the presidency and Joe Biden took over the lead? Well, she became his vice president pick. So this kind of thing works. I did it with I have a fellow astrologer who was having a reading for me back then when I was first learning this tool from Ben Dykes back in the pandemic era. And I said, you're going to write like lots of books in this window of time. Now she's written 3 or 4 astrology books, and it was all in using the distributions through the bounds tool, which I'll be teaching. And lastly, we have bonus courses for self-study. So this is if you are literally going to take the whole bundle and you want to be there for all classes or just have them at your disposal for future reference. I love that I'm going to give you the annual advanced perfection tool video from a class I've already taught live, my solar return masterclass, and my natal progressed lunations course as well. Those are replays of 2-hour courses I've taught before with supporting documentation and slides. It's about a value of $99, $33 each. You get that because you want to sign up for the bundle. So I'm trying to incentivize people to sign up for all of the videos. All the information you're going to need in order to sign up for my class and to get enrolled for that class, and enrollment carts will open to the general public around the 9th of April. I'm using an auspicious election for that, for the early bird discount people who got on the wait list for that class, and there's a few hundred of you, I will be sending you the email. If you're listening to this video and you're not on the early bird discount wait list, then you can find the link to that wait list in this video underneath this video. Otherwise, if you're catching this later after the April 10th to 10th, then the information to enroll and the link to enroll is under this video. So I'm excited. To me, astrology is the tool that I use, like I breathe, you know what I mean? I shower, I brush my teeth because I live and breathe it. But it's also a way to connect to the divine wisdom that's operating through my life. Because I can say, oh, no wonder I hit a wall last week, Sun, Saturn conjunct in Aries, and I'm an Aries sun, and I hit a wall. And I can understand that wall, this too shall pass, right? That wall has a lesson for me, and then it's over. I can anticipate things. I can work with them and not resist them. And then I can extract the deeper lessons of what I am experiencing because it's happening for a reason. So astrology to me is like how to know the mind of God. And that's one of the reasons I think I call this a divine timing masterclass, because we're looking at understanding the will of the divine in each of our lives by looking at the map of time in each of our lives. I hope that makes sense. I hope that's something that you can groove with, and we'll be getting that course going. And I'm excited in May to be teaching that to you. I'm moving in May, but I'm also teaching a class. That is what happens when you're in Aries with a Saturn Aquarius rising story going on, Saturn on the ascendant. You buck through anything, even a move in May, and I'll be sharing this class with you guys. I'm looking forward to it, actually. So come aboard. If you're not sure you're ready for the class, remember the checklist will be there for you. I think it was on the page. I didn't show it to you. Then no worries. You can always reach out to me by email. All my contact information is under all of my YouTube videos and stuff, and ask me to be more specific with your circumstance. The biggest risk you have is taking a class in astrology that is over your head. Then you continue to study astrology over the years and it's no longer over your head. And then you can use that class, you can go back and learn it. And I've had that happen to me where I've signed up when I was learning astrology for a course. It was too sophisticated for me. And then I went back later and I figured out, oh my God, now I understand what the teacher's teaching. So that's the worst case scenario is you jump on in and you're not quite ready. But hey, guys, you got to know the basics. So if you don't know the basics, it's not the class for you. I'll see you guys in the Divine Timing Masterclass in May 2026. I'm so looking forward to having you there and playing in the sandbox of divination together.
Lunatic astrology.